from Pro Wrestling Junkies, and welcome to another edition of Getting to Know a Junkie. Today's junkie is originally from San Diego, and that's in California. His name is Phillip Masci. Phillip, how are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Before we start off, do you want to disparage anyone or anything real quickly? You have this platform to the entire world.
No, I'll keep it positive.
Okay, something comes up, just throw it out there.
Okay.
I hate unmelted cheese and tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
So it's good to see you today. So, where do you live now? You're not in San Diego?
No. So I was born in San Diego.
Okay.
I live in Atlanta, in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Have an Atlanta address. A lot of people that live in Atlanta, quote unquote, say that, but they live like 20 miles away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They're just taking like the closest big city to them. They're adopting that.
Yeah, and they don't want to live in the city. They just like to say that they're from Atlanta or whatever.
So you live in like the heart of the city, like the bustling area?
Yeah. I live what's called inside the perimeter, which is inside Interstate 285. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting that when you use the term perimeter and it's Georgia, because it makes me think of. Did you watch The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Okay, it just makes me think of that. Probably because it was on last night. But
oh yeah.
So how did you end up going West Coast to East Coast?
So my
close.
My dad's brother and my uncle, he moved to Georgia in like the 70s after Vietnam.
Okay.
And so he saw how like cheap it was to live there. Like the cost of living was so much lower than where I was in California, even in the 80s. Like it was really high. And so my dad saw that, and he was a mailman. My mom was a medical assistant, and they made the same money. They would make the same money in any state. So it wasn't like they weren't gonna get a cost of living raise. So they moved to Georgia, even though they loved living in California. But they moved here. I moved with them when I was 6. We drove across country to move, along with my pregnant mom and a dog. Yeah.
Oh my God! And how old were you at the time?
I was 6.
Okay. Do you remember this trip? This driving trip clearly?
Very clearly, yeah. My mom got hit by my mom's car got hit by a deer, like while she was pregnant with my brother. So.
Okay, hon. The car hit the deer, or the deer hit the car?
The deer hit the car. Like
really?
It ran across, and it hit just in time to hit her driver's side door. So.
Oh my God! Did you have to pull over?
Yeah, and so there's no maps, no phones, no anything. It was dark. It was at night. It was on like kind of a wooden or kind of like a woodsy rural road kind of thing.
Okay.
I can't even remember what state it was in, but we heard it, and so me and my dad were in like the big U-Haul together truck, and my mom was back in her car with my dog and pregnant with my brother.
Yeah.
And so like we heard it, we went around, drove around and saw the dent, and like the dent was all the way to like the plastic on the other side of the door, but did not dent into the vehicle.
Okay.
Totally fine, which is crazy for how crazy it sounded.
Yeah. Was there any fur or anything or blood?
Nothing. Not being the deer the antlers, they just kind of, I guess, it probably got a concussion, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But but it ran off. It was fine as far as I know.
Oh my God. Well, I imagine like moving from San Diego to Atlanta was like a big relief on your parents, like financially.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper living for same pay.
Oh yeah.
And is it? It's not that way anymore. Is it very expensive to live in Atlanta?
No, I mean, well, to live in Atlanta, yes, I would say it's more expensive. But to live in Metro Atlanta, which is kind of like what I was talking about, like people who live within so like there's like maybe like 1 million people maybe that live in the city of Atlanta, but there's like 6.5 million that live in Metro.
Okay.
So it's like it's so populace outside of the city. Actually, everybody just drives into the city, but yeah, like not a lot of people really live in the city, and it is expensive, and like it's totally like, you know, right now, like it's all building up, it's all gentrifying, it's all
Okay.
you know, whatever. So hopefully that, you know, I won't be priced out of where I live. I live in like a relatively good situation, and
Sure.
what I, you know, I live in an apartment, but
Is like a high rise?
No, it's actually like an old neighborhood that was like converted into a bunch of apartments. So
Oh, cool.
yeah. So
But you live alone?
I live with a roommate and my dog.
Okay.
So,
And your dog?
yeah.
Wait, what kind of dog do you say it was?
He's a Basset.
Okay.
So yeah, see if I can.
Does he sleep in your room?
Yeah, he sleeps on my bed.
Okay. Oh no, there's nothing wrong with that. My dog sleeps right next to me in bed.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a roommate. Did you know this is this a friend of yours?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were coworkers and stuff like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Is the roommate responsible for, say the roommate gets home before you do? Is he responsible for taking the dog out, laying the dog out to?
No, I mean, every once in a while, if I work hours, I'll call him. I'll say, hey, like, can you let Harvey, or can you take Harvey out? But Harvey's like, Harvey, that's the name of my dog. He's good. Like as long as I'm not gone for more than like 10 hours or something.
Oh, okay, that's good.
That he's kind of sticking in there.
How old is he?
He's 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's in the prime of his life.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Send him out to pasture to stud.
No,
I believe is the term. Okay, so you're involved with Pro Wrestling Junkies. How did you come about, to your role?
Well, so Richie Barna, who saw your episode about it, was great. He contacted. He's one of my best friends, and so he said like, hey, there some friends I know are looking for a video editor or something like that, and I was like, oh, cool. Like I had nothing going on, pandemic, you know, like so it's really tough to make movies. That's what I like to do normally in my part-time. And I love wrestling. I always have, like, I've loved wrestling since I was in middle school, really. And so, you know, I thought it was great. Like, I thought it was a great, like, opportunity for me to, you know, use my skills, but also like get to, you know, be around other people who are into pro wrestling and stuff, so which I love. So
yeah, it's a good combination.
Yeah, and then Jacob just contacted me about it. We kind of talked over Messenger and told me kind of what he wanted, and you know that it's very like a lot of times it's very vague. You know, so you kind of have to be like, okay, how about this? And you know,
yeah,
you know,
do you prefer having like vague parameters, or do you prefer like I want this specifically? Like, do you get to be more creative when you have less like structure to what he's requesting or someone's requesting?
Yeah. So like, I like an example, you know, like say, hey, I'll usually like, they're like, I want an intro for something, right? And I'll be like, well, you know, what's like a show or something like that you're thinking of, or something like that when you think intro. So, you know, if they can't think of something, then I'll think of something that I watch, you know. So that's how and then, you know, I think it goes quicker if you have a template, like if you know kind of where you want to go. And but if if it is a little bit too like improv-y, sometimes that can take you forever because you just don't know nothing's coming up and all that kind of stuff. So I prefer like limitations in that sense, just because they'll be happy, but also like, you know, it'll make me say I'm done. And I'm not, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So say, so you're like your fingerprints are all over all the videos. How long? So you created 3 intros for me,
right?
Okay, one for this show, for example.
Right. Yeah.
How long? And so I don't know how long. Say it's a minute clip. I don't remember offhand, or 30 seconds or 20 seconds. How long? How much work do you have to put in for those? Say like 20 to 30 seconds.
Well, honestly, I was for instance with this one, it was like, so I've subscribed to like a bunch of like template sites and graphic sites and stuff like that, free and some paid. And so, I'll kind of get like, I'm like, okay, well, this is like an interview show. So
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking like, let me think about Tonight Show or Conan O'Brien or something like that. Right. So then I go to that and I go, okay, well, let me see what templates, like if I type in that phrase, what graphics are going to come up. So then, it's really just research. And then like,
Okay.
or maybe even looking at like if, and then like trying to find the correct sound to go with it too. So same with the same thing,
Yeah.
So it's just trial and error. Sometimes, some things like you'll be on a roll and I can get like 2 or 3 things done in an hour. But then like sometimes you're just like, everything is distracting me and it's just like, and I can't think of the right thing, or like I got brain fog or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's tough. And then it took me all night to do something that was 15 seconds,
Oh God. Yeah. Well, so I guess the question I should ask is, how did you learn how to even use the software or to any of this technology to create videos and stuff like such?
So I went to film school. That was actually like my second degree. I've got 2 college degrees, one in business management and one in film and video.
What came first?
So I went back to get that, and
okay.
I never thought I was creative in the least growing up, and so the reason I got a business degree is actually because my school didn't have a film degree that I went to. And so I've been reading a bunch of books about how to become a producer, like a film producer, and what that means and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And basically, like, it's the whole business side of it. It's really just being like kind of who hires and fires everybody and being the manager without actually doing anything creative necessarily, right?
Okay.
You're not writing anything, you're not directing, and you're not acting, you're not shooting, but you're putting it all together. It's an art of its own, but it is business like. So when I went to film school, I thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna like whenever we're making movies, I'm gonna produce them, like I'm gonna like manage everyone and all that kind of stuff. Well, I had everybody in my group like were either wanted to be a director or writer or all of it. Like, but nobody wanted to shoot with the camera and nobody wanted to edit the videos. So I just kind of learned by having good equipment at school and just the basics, but like just basically trial and error, like by default being somebody's editor. Like I was never like the first choice, but like it just fell to me, and then you just start learning and learning and learning. And then when I make my own film, or I'd help produce my films that I make with my crew, a lot of times that would fall to me too if our like editor that like a really great editor, falls through, then I'm usually the guy that does it. So
so at least that you could handle it, worst case scenario. What types of movies have you made?
So I made, like, I would say mainly horror, because that's just easier to do.
Why is that easier?
Because like horror, like a lot of times doesn't require, the only thing that really requires is maybe like some makeup or, or some like, blood or some fake blood or whatever, effects and stuff like that. But that you can really plan for a lot more easily, and you can find a lot of people that can do that, and also like a lot of tutorials on how to do it. So the reason why it's easier is because it's easier to write a story that leads up to a scare, really. That it, like a scare at the end, or a scare at the beginning and a scare at the end, and make it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes long, rather than like there he is. And rather than like some, like some dramatic piece. Sometimes it's really hard to tell a whole story in like 5 to 10 minutes, but you can scare someone in like 5 to 10 minutes.
It probably in 10 seconds,
Exactly. And
so are these, who writes these? You?
It was oddly enough, the only one of the only horror things that we didn't do, was written by me, and it was like kind of a dramatic, like, what's the phrase? A slice of life, or like a coming of age story kind of thing. That's what I'm looking for. So, Yeah, like I've written a couple.
Hmm.
I've directed two,
Okay.
and I produced all of them.
Oh, wow.
So so like that's kind of my like I still try to be the producer and everything, which is
Yeah.
hiring the actors, finding them, auditioning them, finding like an editor later on in post,
Hmm.
or secure like the last movie that I directed. I also helped produce, but I also like secured the location. Like I found like
Oh,
somebody's house off of like because Georgia's got a lot of film stuff happening right now. So there's
yeah.
actually like a website you can go on and be like, and people kind of like Airbnb put up their place
Oh,
for
cool.
filming. Yeah, so we just contacted this random family and paid them like $150 a night or something like that, and just took over their place for 2 nights.
Wow.
shot, our
Do,
horror, shot a horror movie.
do you are these like very gory horror movies,
Nah, we
or just
never.
more like mentally scare you?
Yeah, like we haven't done anything too crazy. I would say like it's kind of half and half. Like I think
Okay.
it's like it would be like a soft R rating, maybe.
Hmm.
There's definitely like cursing and stuff like that. So I think it would be like an R-rated film, but it would just be like on that real. It would be like on like a borderline. So
Um, I didn't see the Golden Globes last night, so I don't know if you've won
I didn't either.
anything.
I didn't
Um,
either.
I didn't even. I said to my wife, I'm like, the Golden Globes. Like, I thought the only movie that came out was Wonder Woman 1984 this
Yeah,
year, like to the theaters. I didn't know, and Borat got like nominated for everything this year.
yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah, I saw like Chadwick Boseman won.
Yeah, he won.
I saw that
Um,
movie this year. That was really good.
do you have things in the works that you want to do?
Yeah, so my partner that writes most of the stuff, like
Hmm.
he's been like he took like a year off from like work. He saved up a ton of money. He took like a year off
Hmm.
and wrote just all he did was he wrote, and he wrote like 6 or 7 feature length films. So that's
Wow.
kind of I think we're gotten beyond the making like shorts,
Hmm.
because they don't really go anywhere. It's tough to get noticed. So I think that's kind of where we want to go next is make like a full length feature film, like 90 minutes to 120 minutes long,
Hmm.
something like that. Because you show that you can make like you can show someone you can actually put together like a real like film like
Yeah.
start to finish that makes sense and looks and sounds okay.
Hmm.
Generally that gets you noticed. So
Yeah, I imagine. Let me ask you a question.
mhm.
How does a producer get paid?
A lot of times I think it's just like they're the one. So like a lot of times a producer will pitch, will be the one that pitches everything.
Okay.
So like
Hmm.
they'll say that like we'll say with like a big movie,
Hmm.
like a lot of times like a producer will have a script or like
Okay.
a actor or an actor in a script or a director in a script, and
Hmm.
they'll go to a major studio, like Disney, Paramount, or like Viacom, whatever,
Hmm.
Time Warner, and say like I got this script and I got this director. Like this is what it's about. This is where I
Hmm.
think it could really work. The markets, demographics, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then and then like basically you kind of get paid along with the other production. Like a lot of times, like, there's a lot of producers that put in money, their own
Hmm.
money. So then they're, in the contract, they'll get a certain return for how much money they put in,
Okay.
based off of like if it gets sold or something like that.
Hmm.
It just depends. Like there's so many different ways a movie can happen.
Hmm.
That like even like me, like who researched all that stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like the industry's changed so much because of streaming. Over the last few years. Like
Yeah.
yeah, who even knows? Like I'm just like with like pro wrestlers, wondering about like streaming pay-per-views. Like how do they get paid? Based off of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
The same thing, right? Like
Hmm.
so it just generally gets paid initially from the sale, I should say, the sale
Okay.
of a film to a studio. Like,
Okay.
even if it is like Netflix or something, you're selling, like they're buying it from you.
All right. That
So,
makes sense.
right. And then is kind of when the negotiation happens of how much you're going to get paid. Because
Okay.
you have a budget, you're going to have like a labor budget, and then you're going to have
Hmm.
a production budget, and then you're going to have like a catering budget, and
Oh,
casting budget,
geez.
all that stuff. So all that stuff goes into the budget of a film. And then you got your post-production budget. So you got to hire an editor, you got to rent a studio, you got to, all that stuff. It can get, I mean, for a real big film, it is a crazy amount of steps that you have to take, even though it's really just 3 steps. It's just pre-production, production, or principal photography, or whatever you want to call it, and then post-production, and then I guess it's distribution after that. So advertising and distribution. So
you know everything that has to be done, and and you still want to do it.
Yeah, I know. It's I mean, like with a smaller film, like it really is a little bit simpler. And because we've done these shorts, and each time we kind of upped our game as far as like that last one that we did that I directed, we actually like paid the cast, we paid for a location. We got like a real camera and real lenses that like real movies use. Stuff like that. Real lighting, real everything.
Did you have to provide food?
Yeah, I made. I made all the food.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you know how to cook? I mean, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I can cook. It comes. Yeah. It's the whole like Italian family thing. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You learned at least cook it. Pasta and lasagna and stuff like that, just enough to which you can feed 1 million people with.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So do you have, like, if you had to put out a lot of money as far as like equipment you have in your home?
I've definitely, especially like since the pandemic, like you get bored and go on Amazon. What am I going to spend? What am I going to spend on? Like, I just bought like a boom pole where I can put the mic on, because I've had a boom mic forever, but I just haven't.
Yeah. My thing has been like, I might need one of these. Like,
like
get the pandemic has killed me.
Yeah, I made a little short with my friend, and I was like, why don't I have this? Like, I still don't have this after like 4 years of owning this. And it's usually because somebody brings one, but anyway, I mean, I bought like more stuff for my personal camera. We have like our crew camera that's like really nice. It's like a 5.2K cinema camera.
Do you keep it?
No, I don't keep that one. It's because somebody else in the crew bought it. Technically,
got it.
I bought like a lot of the lighting equipment. I've got my own nice DSLR, which is just like a Panasonic, like you can swap out the lenses.
Oh, okay.
So I bought like a nice cinema lens for that, a monitor, all this other kind of stuff, a tripod that I'm on right now, actually, because it conveniently came with a phone attachment.
Oh, cool.
So.
Oh, that's perfect. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned that you were interested in wrestling. When did you say that started again?
Middle school, definitely.
Middle school.
I was aware. I'm definitely aware of Hulk. So I'm 37. So I was born. I was born in 83.
Okay.
So I do remember Hulk. I remember like all that stuff, but I didn't really watch it like often. My dad watched it when he was a kid, so I'm sure like he was seeing what was going on, because he grew up in New York, so he was definitely a WWF.
Sure.
W's, San Martino fan, all that stuff. Being Italian and whatnot. So, he we definitely watched Hogan and all that kind of stuff, but I would like watch it on and off. I would watch it maybe if I caught it after like some Saturday morning cartoons, maybe Superstar or something like that.
Did you ever watch with him?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I'll definitely.
Okay.
But so when I moved to Georgia, like WCW is a thing, right? So came out. It was on TBS, at 6:05 Saturday night, WCW Saturday night, and so like I moved like right 1990, so like right as like that whole thing happened. But I didn't really watch then. I was aware of Sting, so I became aware of Sting and like Flair and all that kind of stuff, who I'd never seen before. And then really wasn't till like I would say right after like I had heard about Bash of the Beach, the infamous Bash of the Beach, right, where Hogan turns. So of course I watch. I watch I guess Nitro after, and I wasn't sure. I was like, was Nitro around at that time? Couldn't remember. I think so.
Yeah.
So so like I was just hooked. I started buying like PWIs. I don't know what it was, and then I saw my favorite wrestler, you know, he arrived in WCW, which was Roddy Piper.
Nice.
So he became my favorite wrestler in WCW, which is funny.
Really?
Yeah, because
I've never heard that combination of words come out of somebody's mouth.
No, so I was amazed, and I was just very like into his like underdog against the NWO at that time. Like he would just get the crap kicked out of him.
Oh yeah, remember when they were going after like his hip?
Yes. You know? I was like, I can't believe this is terrible. I hate Hulk Hogan. And so like they showed on TNT they had the show called Monster Vision that I loved.
Oh yeah,
with Joe Bob Briggs, right? And so they played They Live after Nitro one time, and so that's when I got hooked. Like I saw They Live, and I saw like I think Welcome to Frogtown, and I was just like, I love movies like that. And so like I just became hooked on Roddy Piper. I mean, Owen Hart was like my first favorite of all time. He was like I was like didn't want to admit that I really like Piper a lot, but Owen was kind of my favorite at the time. Especially when I started getting into wrestling, I would go back and rent a bunch of WrestleManias. I just loved his match with Brett, you know, and stuff like that so much. I love that story, ahead of its time, all that kind of stuff.
Oh sure.
And so yeah, and I loved the way Owen wrestled. It was just I could watch any match of his. So
they were always
it was always good, always good.
Like you know? there's a good chance he could still be wrestling. You know, like I mean, he might be close now, but like that's like so crazy about it.
Well, I always thought like if he would have lived to the SmackDown 6 era, he would have. I no doubt he would have been on that show, and he would have been one of the SmackDown 7 instead of 6. Like he would have been, he would have like, it would have been like this, like he would have gotten to wrestle Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit and like Edge, Christian, Rey Mysterio. Can you imagine that?
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. I mean, you could keep going on.
John Cena, you know, like it would have been amazing.
Because he could wrestle any size opponent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And any style. So it was great. But yeah, so like Atlanta was like the hot spot, right? So like,
when you were growing up, did your dad ever take you?
Yes. So my first show was Nitro in the Omni.
Okay.
So it was pretty cool. And I remember the only thing I really remember, there's two things I remember is that I got this merchandise catalog, NWO merchandise catalog. They're handed to everybody in line, and so I was walking into the stadium with it, and I see Big Show, or Giant at the time, I guess, like all the way across the stadium. Okay. He's that big, you know.
Yeah.
Far away. And he's like in a suite or something like that, and like we're supposed to go up to the upper deck because we got like $5 tickets or whatever. Yeah. And so like I run all the way around. I'm like, I think I'm in like 8th grade or something like that. Okay. I'm like 4'11", so I'm a short guy anyway. And I run all the way around. I see him, and it was like the biggest person I'd ever seen in my life, and will ever see.
Yeah, probably.
Life. Yeah, because I was 4'11" and he's 7'2", 7'4", or whatever. Right. And I was just like, you know, Mr. Giant, can you sign this for me? And he,
Mr. Giant.
Yeah, I know. What do you say? You know?
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, it's the first wrestler I ever met.
Too, yeah, so you're a kid.
And so on the merchandise catalog, it was an NWO catalog, and he had just gotten kicked out of the NWO. So he's totally kayfabing me. And like, so he writes Giant in big letters across the merchandise catalog, and then he crosses out Scott Hall's face on it. And
oh wow, do you have it still?
It got my basement flooded, and I lost a lot of my wrestling autographs and stuff like that.
Oh, that sucks. I lost all my like LJN wrestling figures. I mean, like 30 years ago, but like in a flood like that. Oh, it's the worst feeling.
Yeah, I lost a lot of my like good baseball cards too. So.
Oh, that sucks too.
I know.
Oh man, sorry. Were you a collector?
Not really. I've never been like I've collected movies. I think it was probably the height of that DVD era I
Mm-hmm.
probably collected. I mean, I probably had like 500 DVDs or so, something like that.
Did you
But
get rid of them all?
yeah, most of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do
I
the
really
same
only
thing.
I only have Blu-rays right now,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. And then like, there's only like, especially with like wrestling, like I got rid of a ton of them, unless it was something that you just can't find very hard
Yeah,
easily.
sometimes those compilations,
Yeah.
that they are, that they have the matches on the network, but not all together.
Right. Or
Hmm.
like there's like I have a TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view that I went to
Oh,
that was in
cool.
Atlanta. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see me in it really. Like I'm like on the front row of the like of the ramp or whatever.
Oh, cool.
So
So
yeah, so
you've
I have that.
seen, so you did you see, so WWE didn't never came through there, right? When you were
Yeah,
in
that's
your
true.
heyday.
Not until like 99 or 2000 or something like that, when they
Okay.
weren't, I guess, when they weren't scared anymore. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Because
Did
like
people hate WWE?
not really, no, because of Stone Cold. Like Stone Cold was like this kind of Southern-esque character, right?
Yeah.
So like, so that very much resonated. Like that was the thing that brought me over. I would watch both because I would tape them, but like
Mm-hmm.
I watched Nitro live and then I would tape Raw. But then as Stone Cold started getting bigger and bigger, and how much I liked him, it was like the
Yeah.
first wrestling tape I ever bought was because Stone Cold says so.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And so like I would occasionally I would start taping Nitro and watching Raw,
Uh-huh.
and I like, but I've always been kind of like I'll always root for the underdog against WWE, but
Mm-hmm.
mainly just because I think I grew up as like a WCW kid.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then I would watch ECW on Saturday nights, like syndicated. But like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so like I think it's just like, I don't think people hated it, WWE. I just think because everybody knew somebody that knew somebody that
Mm-hmm.
like was either a wrestler or a kid of a wrestler. Like, I don't know how many times like I would be in a class with somebody that was like a boyfriend of a kid, or like one of Tony Schiavone's kids. I think a couple of his kids went to my high school.
Oh.
Cody went to a rival high school. Xavier Woods went to another rival high school. So like Buff Bagwell went to that same high school.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So like, like DDP, Buff Bagwell lived here. Like I think Mick Foley lived here when he was in WCW, and then like I knew Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. They lived like in Alpharetta, and like so I would see like wrestlers in town. I would see Dusty in the local Publix like all the time.
Oh, really?
Never bother him because he's in a grocery store.
Was it like watching like an animal in the zoo? Not saying he's an animal, just watching what he's doing.
Was weird. It was like seeing a celebrity being normal,
Yeah.
Like it was weird.
He's buying deli meat. He's buying a pound and a half of turkey.
Well, yeah, there's like one time I remember he's just hunched over like the shopping cart, obviously waiting for, like his wife or kid to come back. That classic, you're just like waiting for them to
Totally.
And oh God, I just want to get out of here. You know what I mean? It kind of looks, I was like, I'm not gonna go up to talk to him.
Yeah.
But him and Flair's like sons would be at wrestling tournaments that my brother was in, or I was in, or whatever.
Oh, wow.
So,
what was the last show that you went to? Have you been to a WrestleMania?
Yes, I went to the Atlanta WrestleMania, WrestleMania 27 with Richie. I went with Richie.
Oh, cool. Oh yeah, he talked about that.
I was the friend that I went with. Yeah, I went with him.
Was that the best show you've been to?
No,
it was just the biggest.
It's the biggest, but I will say what felt bigger than that was I was at the Goldberg versus Goldberg beating Hogan for the title at the Georgia Dome.
At the Georgia Dome. Wow.
Yeah.
Was that like was it packed? Like was it full capacity?
So WrestleMania was at the Georgia Dome, and so was that show, right?
Okay.
So what they did for the Nitro, it was only like 45,000 people. Only. Mm-hmm. I say only.
Oh yeah.
But they did like section off like a good bit because like Georgia Dome holds 70,000 people for WrestleMania. So WrestleMania was close to 71,000. Mm-hmm. It was like, because I know because it's the record and I'm a big Falcons fan, all that kind of stuff. So but yeah, so that felt bigger, like mainly because I was younger, and also, it just, everybody knew, like, the reason everybody was there is because they knew Goldberg was going to win. Like, you know what I mean? And Goldberg was an Atlanta Falcon. He was a Georgia Bulldog. He is the, like, hometown hero, of all time.
Did you like him?
I mean, my dad loved him. I was still obviously like a Roddy Piper fan. I was the smart mark, like, stuff like that. Like, I loved it. I mean, come on. I was a kid. I loved it.
I mean, the crowd went nuts. I remember when I was in college. I remember that they went crazy.
Oh, it was. I mean, people were throwing stuff at the end of the match and stuff like that. People forget, like, back then, that, like, people used to throw stuff into the rings.
Like,
that would never happen now.
That episode of Nitro in '96 after the NWO when they established that the night before, they were throwing tons of stuff in the ring.
Yeah, batteries. I saw batteries go into the ring and stuff like that. It's just like,
that could really hurt someone.
Oh, I know it. It's
take an eye out.
I don't know if it's like a southern thing or whatever, but I mean, it's happened at a couple other sporting events I've been to, but in Atlanta. But it was crazy. It was so loud. I've never heard anything so loud in my life.
Yeah,
it was just, I could not hear anything really. It was like my ears hurt after.
Was that the best show you went to?
I would say so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's tough because, like, I will say the Dynamite in Atlanta with Cody in the cage match against Wardlow.
Yeah, that
was so good. It was so amazing. I had really good seats for that too. And it was just a lot of fun. That was probably my favorite recent one. But I don't know, man. Like, I guess it is, but there was also like a SmackDown that I went to that was like the last time I saw Eddie Guerrero, which is Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio in a steel cage.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
On a SmackDown, and he died like probably like a few months later. I guess that TNA Bound for Glory was a really good show too. Actually, Kurt Angle, Sting beats Kurt Angle for the world title in Atlanta. So it was
That's
cool.
pretty good.
Diners versus Team 3D and a Falls Count Anywhere match where they fell on us.
You saw some big names at a big show. So I'm gonna let you go shortly.
Okay.
Can I ask you one last question?
Sure.
Is your father still around?
Oh yeah. He's
okay. Do you ever watch with him still, or talk about it, or is he into it?
No, not really, but I will tell him when Goldberg shows up because he's still like.
Oh, okay.
And every once in a while, I'll buy him a new Goldberg T-shirt or something. So.
Oh, good son.
Yeah.
All right. Is it okay if I ask you 3 would you rathers?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
But I thought of a different one, but we're not going to count this as one of the first 3. Okay. Are you a football fan?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you rather go to the Super Bowl or to WrestleMania?
WrestleMania.
Okay. Even if who's your team?
Falcons.
okay. But I was just trying to. Yeah. All right, that makes sense. Okay. Our would you rather questions. All right. Would you rather have feet like Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit? Would you rather have feet like him or teeth like a horse?
You know what? I'm gonna go with feet like him.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I would have picked.
Yeah. It's tough though.
Because I mean, there's really no way you could hide the horse teeth. You
right.
know, the hairy feet.
You
throw some stuff on it. Okay. Would you rather marry a vampire or a Nazi sympathizer?
Vampire. At least I know what I'm getting. At least I don't know. Yeah, vampire.
Yeah, that's true. And the last one is, would you rather have a tail or 3 arms? And the tail you could use like how sometimes like a monkey does, like to hang from somewhere.
Tail.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Oh, you just told the whole world that, and I'm sure everybody is relieved that was your answer.
Yeah.
All right, Phil, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go get yelled at now by my wife and kids, but that's fine. It was worth it. Anything? So has COVID really thrown off the making movie thing going on right now? Because it's impossible to do that safely.
So I got a lot of friends who are on sets right now, actually, because like production like has gone back into full swing. Starting in like basically in the fall or the end of summer in the fall.
Okay.
So like all the stuff that got delayed, it's in production right now. So anything, because like all the Marvel movies are made here. Like Walking Dead's made here, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
TV shows. All that stuff is good now because they figured out how to do COVID safely and test people. My brother does that on set for a show.
Oh, cool.
And because of that, he was able to get a shot. But as far as indie stuff, it's tough because you can't afford to like just get a bunch of tests and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've done some stuff. I've done some little stuff. I made sure I asked and made sure that everybody, wore masks on set unless, until we told the actor action and then they can take their mask off.
Sure.
But after, but that's really as far as I'll go.
Okay.
Until everything's good. But yeah, the big stuff is all going right now. Full steam ahead.
That's good to hear. But now you have to get a subscription to either HBO Max or Disney Plus. It's too much. It's too much.
It's too much.
All right. You go have a good evening. Thank you so much. Stay safe.
Yeah.
And I'll see you around.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
All right. Take care. My pleasure. Anytime.